Well, we're going to talk about a book that's coming out, To the Uttermost Ends of the Earth, the epic hunt for the South's most feared ship and the greatest sea battle of the Civil War, which I'd never really heard about. So this is one of those things where this is how you get the history you never got in school, by listening to Veterans Radio and reading some of the great books and authors that we bring to you. And you had a writing partner on this, Phil Keith. Phil was also on Veterans Radio back in October of 2013 on his book, Black Horse Riders. Both of you guys are pretty prolific authors. Phil's now passed away. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your writing partner here?
Well, Phil and I had gotten to be friends, I'm going to say, probably about 15 years ago. I was doing a writing workshop, and he came in to participate in the writing workshop. As some people may recall who listened to his interview on the network, he had served 3 tours in Vietnam. He was a fighter pilot. And then he wanted to try his hand at writing. He had been writing, but he was actually working on a novel at the time, and he wanted some help in this workshop try to finish that up. But as I got to know him better, and then the workshop was over, but we started to become friends and became better and better friends, and then ultimately very, very good friends. And I remember, I'm glad you mentioned Black Horse Riders, because I said to Phil, I really think you have a really strong strength for nonfiction writing. I mean, nothing against your fiction writing, and if that's what pleases you the most, then keep going. But I said, I bet if you found the right story, you could really sink your teeth into it. And as it happened, this was probably 2010-ish. I picked up a newspaper that day, and there was a photograph of President Obama presenting the Presidential Unit Citation to a number of men who had been in this company in Vietnam their heroism in this battle had gone overlooked for 40-something years. So they're finally getting their due. And I called Phil and I said, "Did you see the paper this morning?" He said, "Yep." He said, I'm thinking the same thing." And so he started looking into this story, which eventually became Black Horse Riders. He did a great job, I thought. He did a follow-up to that, was Firebase Illingworth, and so we were not writing partners, but very good friends. And then we sort of both at the same time found out about this fellow Eugene Bullard, and we said, let's try and work together. And that sounds like it's a casual thing, but it's not. They say you shouldn't go into business with friends.
Right.
And writing a book together is going into business. You might spend the next year or two working together and sometimes disagreeing on where you're going. And there is money involved. And you figure out the contract, who gets what. There's all kinds of things to it. But we so enjoyed our experience with what became the All Blood Runs Red, which was published in 2019, that we thought, well, if another story comes along, and Phil, again, being a Navy man, we started to research the story about the Civil War battle between the CSS Alabama and the USS Kearsage, and that was right up his alley. And so we said, okay, let's do another book together. And our publisher was delighted because they were very happy with the way All Blood Runs Red turned out. And so we did this book together as a good amount of research, and Phil, did a fantastic job, because there's so much of the jargon in the book that's about 1860s boats and sailing. Right. And of course, his mind was picked that up right away. Some of it he already knew, of course, having been 25 years in the Navy. So we really enjoyed working on this book together, and it was a story we thought many people did not know about, and unfortunately, Phil, a number of ailments started to pile up on him, and he passed away on March 10th of last year.
Yeah, way too early. He was only 74 years old. I'm sure he had a lot of good books left in him. He had written on the USS Lexington. He had written a great story, or great book, the stories of the Medal of Honor winners from Harvard, called the book's Crimson Valor. You've also written on World War II, Lightning Down. You've written on a book called Reckless, the racehorse who became a Marine Corps hero, that a lot of people know about.
Marine Corps horse, yeah.
So you guys were a great combination, and this is an interesting book. May have the worst title I've ever heard.
Is it long enough?
It's more than long enough, but there's a reason for the title, and let's start there. The Kearsage gets a direction, an order, if you will, and tell us about that, and that wraps right into the title, to the utmost ends of the earth.
Listen to this full episode and more on the Apple Podcasts app, Blog Talk Radio, Google Podcasts, or iHeartRadio. And now streaming on Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify.